What happened at Nachol? In 1946, Ilamitra was just a housewife in a conservative Hindu Jamindar family at Ramchandrapur. But slowly, together with her husband, she was taking part in the peasant movement of the locality. Raman Mitra wanted her wife to take part in communist movement as she did in the past as a student in Kolkata. Encouraged by her husband, Ilamitra gradually came out of the family boundary. When riot broke out in Kolkata, Bihar and some parts of East Bengal, Ilamitra came down to Nachol under the directives of CPI, extensively toured the affected areas together with Mahatma Gandhi and other Hindu-Muslim leaders and took part in rehabilitation work among the distressed people. This was the first time, being a housewife of a conservative Hindu family, she came out of the forbidden boundary of the family and came directly in contact with the common mass. Then came the partition of Bangla in 1947 and Jamindari of Mitra family of Malda fell within the territory of East Bangla, then a province of Pakistan. The family, particularly at the insistence of mother-in-law of Ilamitra, decided to stay back in Pakistan. The geographical area of Jamindari was included in the district of Greater Rajshahi. The partition created an unsteady state in the minds of the local people, mostly inhabited by Hindus and so-called Adivashis, the Sautals community. The decision of Jamindar family to stay back created a sense of relief to the non-Muslim population. On the day of 14th August 1947, in an assembly of villagers in Ramchandrapur, Raman Mitra, the CPI local leader, hoisted the Pakistani flag. The event acted as a reassuring antidote in the mind of the minority community. At the initiative of local peasant leader Altaf Hussain, a school was established at the village Krishna Govindapur. About 5 minutes walk from the residence of Jamindar family. The villagers demanded that to educate their sons and daughters, the Bodhumata, Ilamitra must become a teacher of the school, to which Ilamitra agreed. The school started with 3 students, which rose to 55 within a year. She took it as a challenge and dedicated her life in removing illiteracy from the village. She gradually, centering the school, initiated a movement of education for all. This gave her a unique opportunity to interact with peasants and their problems, their aspirations and needs. She became their Ranima, Queen Mother. Krishna Govindapur is a non-Muslim dominated area, of which Adivashis form an important component in the local population. The Adivashis belong to the cultivating class, having no land of their own. Most of them were adhyars. Apart from the Adivashis, other Hindu cultivators were from Kastriya, Bundias and Kalivartas castes. After partition of Bangla in 1947, 5 police stations of Malda district came under Rajshahi district in Pakistan. Those 5 police stations were Nawabganj, Bulagat, Shibganj, Nachol and Gomostapur. The Sautals of these areas had the great tradition of fighting against the British imperialism for their independent homeland under the leadership of Jitu Sardar. The Nachol Bidroho, Nachol Revolution was of 1950 against the Pakistanis was the legacy of that tradition. Due to stern and repressive stance against the Communist Party of the Pakistani rulers, the party decided to work from underground. All the leaders, including Ilamitra, were asked to go underground. This was in 1948. Ilamitra was then carrying. She silently crossed over to Kolkata, where she gave birth to her son Mohan. The child was left under the care of her mother-in-law at Ramchandrapur. Ila returned to peasant movement after 3-4 weeks. Undercover, she returned to Nachol to give leadership to peasant movements with her husband. But where is Nachol? As I said, Nachol is a police station now in Nawabganj district. It is an inaccessible area even for today. It is about 35 kilometers from Rajshahi town. It is better to approach Nachol from Rajshahi via Tanur, about 15 kilometers north from Rajshahi. Crossing the border between Rajshahi and Nawabganj, about 10 kilometers from Tanur, directly westward. The local peasant leaders, with the help of the underground communist and Kishan Shomiti leaders, worked relentlessly preparing the ground of Tevahaga movement in those localities for 2 years from 1948 to 1950. In popularizing the movement among the peasants, apart from Ilamitra and Raman Mitra, the organizing leaderships on the surface were provided by the local leaders. Those included among others were Shivu Koram Mudi, a Santal communist leader from Rajshahi, Matla Majhi, Prutu Hemram, Kitor Maji, Sagram Maji, Shukra Madam, Chotar Maji, Shukbilas Burman, Vagira Karmakar, etc. It may be remembered that at this time, when Tevaga Andalun was getting momentum under the fiery leadership of Ila Mitro, the movement in other districts of East Bangla had been crushed by the Muslim League government. In the area of Nachol, of which Chandipur, Krishnapur, Kendua, Gamura, Shivnagar, Banda, Golapara, Malikpur, Kalupur and Mahipur were the most sensitive area of the movement. The Jodhars used to get 2/3 share and 1/3 went to the cultivator instead of half-half as in other districts of North Bangla. For husking rice from paddy, the laborers used to get 3 aras only out of 20 aras. Ila made her headquarter of the movement in the village of Chandipur at the house of veteran Santal communist leader Matla Maji. The objective of the movement was trained out in very simple terms. 2/3 share will be for the cultivator and 1/3 will be for the Jodhar, 1 out of the total yield. For rice husking from paddy, out of 20 aras of husked rice, the laborer would get 7 aras and the owner would get rest 13 aras. In local dialect, the slogan was Shat Arijin Fashaler Tebhaga, for husking 7 ara and 3 share for cultivation. In order to make the demand popular, Ila Mitro extensively toured village after village, met the Khet Majurs, agricultural laborers, common cultivators, small farmers, and publicly addressed the peasant meetings in the remote corners of the village, giving bluff to the police administration. In this way, she earned the title Rarima. A song was composed by a village poet, Lila Moitrinari, Ain Kollojari, Adhi Jomi, Tekuti Bhag. Jin Holo Shat Ariye Bhai, Jin Holo Shatari. Thus, ground was ripe for launching the final phase of the movement to get their demand materialized. The leaders also organized a defense force from among the revolutionary peasants, in which Hindus, Muslims, and Santals took part. Although the Santal community dominated the force was equipped with bow and arrows, spears, lathi, and homemade different types of choppers with haft, etc. The force was trained how to repulse the attacking police force and to make defense formidable. The force was also taught how to create safely. Another popular slogan among the peasants was whoever possesses plough land belongs to him. Langoljar Jomitar. As the movement gained momentum, leaders thought that that time was the right to give effect of the Tevaga doctrine. The implementation of the principle began with Mitra Jomindar family of Ramchandrapur. It was not an easy task. By persuasion and negotiation by the leaders, including Mitra couple, the family accepted Tevaga doctrine of distribution of yield. This happened in autumn of 1949 at the time of major harvesting season. The Jamindar family had over 500 bighas of crops yielding lands. Encouraged by the initial success to the leaders, imposed the principle on other Jamindars and Jodhars, one of by the sometimes through persuasion, sometimes using trade and sometimes using force. By 1950, almost all landowners in around Nachol were forced to accept the Sat Ari and Tevaga doctrine. The method the peasant leaders adopted for implementing the doctrine was a very simple but effective one. After harvesting the crops of particular field, the owner of the land was invited to be present on the day in presence of the leaders of the movement, common villagers and the cultivator. In his presence or absence of the landowner, total crops of the field was divided in 3 parts, keeping 2/3 for the cultivator. The rest 1/3 was sent to the owner carried by cow-driven cart. The landowners were forced to accept the distribution. But in the eye of the administration and the landowners, this was looked upon and is illegal and looting of yields by force. In most cases, the process of implementation had been smooth, except in 1 or 2 cases, forces had to be employed. One such case was the Jamindars of Madhipur, who refused to yield to the pressure of the leaders and used firemen to repulse the assembled peasants and leaders. But ultimately, the Jamindar had accepted the demand. But the government could not sit idle, particularly when the landowners, Jodhars and Jamindars both cultivately and individually appealed to the administration. Muslim League was essentially a party of the landed gentry of conservative Muslims. To end this terrorism of the peasants, the Jamindars and Jodhars, now with the help of the police force, started to take revenge. The police let loose the reign of the terror and oppression in the rural Bangla to suppress the movement. Many peasant activists and innocent people were tortured and taken to police custody. The police was started combining operation. After surrounding a locality, the life of underground leaders gradually became unbearable and unsafe. The movement reached its peak. A showdown became evident.